this video tutorial, we're going to take a look at using water-soluble graphite. I have a 2B. Also have a 6B here. And we might get to the 9B as well. Also have a General's Layout pencil. A blending stump. And of course, we're going to need a cup of water and a small nylon brush. I'm also working on watercolor paper here. We're going to be doing a drawing of an apple. So I'm going to start by lightly sketching out my apple with a 2B water-soluble graphite crayon. You can keep your marks pretty loose here. We're going to do a lot of the work with the brush. Now my light source is coming from pretty much direct at the apple, so it's going to have a little bit of darkness, a little bit of shading on both edges of the apple. It's going to be coming a little bit from the right, so it's going to be a little bit darker on the left side of the apple. So that's where I'm going to begin adding my value and shading. Again, don't worry about the texture of the paper here. You can also do this on regular drawing paper or illustration board. Now when I'm making my lines here, I'm trying to follow the cross contours of the apple to give it a little bit of that three-dimensional form. Now that I've got a good base coat of the graphite down, I'm going to go ahead and start working it around with the brush and some water. And you'll notice when you start adding water to your water-soluble graphite, it kind of reacts a little bit like ink wash. You can spread it around. You can also thin the water out a little bit, or thin the graphite out a little bit with extra water. I'm still thinking about my cross contour lines as I'm working with the brush. Apples kind of have that grainy texture anyway, which makes the cross contour lines a little bit more evident. I'm going to be careful right around here because that's where my light source is hitting the apple and it's creating a highlight. There's a little bit of shadow that's cast on the back side of the apple. I'll continue to work all the way around the apple, making the cross contour lines with my brush. And if while you're working you find that you get a little too dark, you can always take a paper towel and dab it, or you can use a Q-tip with a little bit of water in it to lift some of the color off. Water-soluble graphite kind of combines two worlds, the drawing world and the painting world, so you kind of get the best of both worlds when you use water-soluble graphite. You can begin with the drawing and kind of work your values around, and then go back with a pencil later and make your details. We'll let that sit and dry just a bit, and then I'm going to go to my 6B and I'm going to start adding a little bit of value there. Six B is a little bit darker, so it's going to make darker marks, and when you mix the graphite with water, your values are going to be darker. So using this material is a little bit similar to watercolor paint because you'll want to let your layers dry a little bit before you go back and work them. You don't have to. You can experiment with putting some of the graphite down in wet areas, and you'll kind of get a wet on wet technique that you get with watercolor. So again, as I'm adding water to the graphite, I'm working with the cross contours to help develop that illusion of form on the apple. Now add a little bit of the 6B graphite on the right side of the apple as well, and work it in with water. Water-soluble graphite works great with textured objects because you automatically get that kind of texture there, because some areas are a little bit smooth because you've worked them in with water, and some areas retain their texture because it is a stick of graphite basically. We'll darken up that shadow a bit at the top. Still, I'm being careful to retain my highlights as I work. Now I'm going to go back with a little bit of the 9B pencil and create a shadow underneath the apple. And you can really see here that the 9B is considerably darker than the 6B and the 2B. Alright, now is a good time to let this dry. And we'll come back with a graphite pencil. So now I've got my General's Layout pencil, which is about equivalent to a 4B or 6B pencil. And I'm going to start adding some of the details. One thing to keep in mind, with a regular pencil you can erase any mistakes. Once you've added water to the water-soluble graphite, it's nearly impossible to erase that with a standard eraser. You'd have to use a Q-tip or a paper towel thinned out with water to do that. Now, because the texture of the paper is watercolor paper, I'm going to take a blending stump and smooth out a little bit of the areas that I added with my pencil. I still want to retain some of that texture, but not all of it, and the blending stump is a perfect tool to accomplish this. So there you have it. You have a quick demonstration of how to draw an apple using water-soluble graphite.